Harold Frederick Shipman, born in Nottingham, England, in 1946, seemed at first glance to be the model of a small-town British doctor. Calm, polite, and always neatly dressed, he radiated the quiet confidence that patients expected from their trusted physician. But behind that calm exterior hid one of the most prolific serial killers in modern history, a man who would eventually be accused of murdering more than 250 of his own patients. His story is not only a chilling tale of deceit and death, but also a disturbing reminder of how easily trust can be exploited. Shipman grew up in a working-class Methodist family. His father was a truck driver, while his mother, Vera, was devoted to her children. When Harold was 17, his mother fell ill with lung cancer. He watched as doctors administered morphine to ease her pain during her final days. The memory of her calm, medicated state stayed with him for life, and some psychologists later suggested this moment may have shaped his dark fascination with the drug. After her death, young Harold threw himself into his studies, earning a place at the University of Leeds Medical School, where he graduated in 1970. He began his career as a general practitioner, quickly earning respect among colleagues and patients alike. But beneath that respectable image, Shipman had already started down a darker path. In 1975, he was caught forging prescriptions for pethidine, a strong opioid painkiller which he had been using himself. He was fined and briefly entered a rehabilitation program. Yet, astonishingly, he was allowed to continue practicing medicine. To the outside world, he was simply a doctor who had made a mistake. No one suspected that he would later turn into Britain's most prolific serial killer. Over the next 2 decades, Dr. Shipman worked in several practices around northern England, finally settling in Hyde, Greater Manchester. There he became the friendly neighborhood doctor who made house calls, listened attentively, and always seemed to know what his patients needed. Many elderly residents adored him. They invited him into their homes, trusted him completely, and tragically, that trust was their undoing. Shipman began administering lethal doses of diamorphine, the medical form of heroin, to his patients, often during routine visits. Most of his victims were elderly women, though some men and younger people were also targeted. After killing them, he would calmly fill out their death certificates, listing heart failure or natural causes as the reason. Because he was both the treating doctor and the certifying authority, few people questioned his explanations. Families grieved quietly, never suspecting foul play. Shipman even encouraged cremation, ensuring that bodies and evidence would be destroyed forever. His crimes were terrifyingly systematic. He kept meticulous records, sometimes even adding fake notes to suggest that his victims had been ill or deteriorating. At times, he forged medical documents or altered computer files to match his lies. For years, he lived a double life, the devoted family man and trusted physician by day, a cold-blooded killer by night. The web of lies began to unravel in 1998, when local undertakers noticed that an unusual number of Shipman's elderly patients were dying unexpectedly, often sitting in their favorite chairs or fully dressed. Odd circumstances for supposed natural deaths. Another doctor, Susan Booth, grew suspicious and alerted the authorities. A quiet investigation began, but Shipman was careful and left little direct evidence. The case might have gone cold again, if not for one fatal mistake involving an elderly patient named Kathleen Grundy. Grundy, a wealthy widow and one of Shipman's long-term patients, was found dead in her home in June 1998. Shipman claimed it was a heart attack and signed her death certificate accordingly. But when her family later reviewed her will, they were shocked to find that she had left her entire estate, worth more than $350,000 to Dr. Shipman. Her daughter, a lawyer, immediately sensed something was wrong and insisted on an autopsy. The examination revealed lethal levels of morphine in Grundy's body, and the forged will was quickly traced back to Shipman's typewriter. The mask finally fell. Police launched a full-scale investigation, exhuming many of Shipman's former patients. Again and again, traces of morphine were discovered in their remains. The scope of his killing spree became horrifyingly clear. In January 2000, after a lengthy trial, Shipman was found guilty of murdering 15 patients and forging the will of Kathleen Grundy. He was sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of release. A whole life order. Even after conviction, Shipman never confessed. He refused to explain his motives, leaving psychologists and investigators to speculate endlessly. Some believed he enjoyed playing God, controlling life and death at will. Others thought he saw his victims as burdens or believed he was, helping them die peacefully, as his mother had. Whatever the reason, his lack of remorse was chilling. He continued to protest his innocence, maintaining that he was simply a misunderstood doctor. In January 2004, 4 years into his sentence, Harold Shipman was found hanging in his prison cell. He had taken his own life on the eve of his 58th birthday. His death closed the book on Britain's most prolific serial killer. But the shockwaves of his crimes continued to ripple through the country. Shipman's case led to sweeping reforms in British medicine. Rules about death certification, prescription tracking, and medical oversight were completely overhauled. His crimes forced the entire medical establishment to confront a terrifying question. How could one man, protected by a white coat and a gentle smile, murder hundreds of people in plain sight? To this day, Harold Shipman remains a grim symbol of betrayal and misplaced trust, a doctor who used his power to destroy rather than heal. His story is not just about murder, but about the fragile line between care and control, compassion and cruelty. It stands as a warning that even those sworn to save lives can, under the wrong circumstances, become the greatest danger of all.